So now we're going to actually get started creating our decks. And before you actually start putting together your prompts and running your prompts, you do want to know three things, which is the type of deck you're going to be creating, the specific topic, keyword, or niche, and how many cards. Now, if you don't have any ideas, I highly suggest you review the guide that was included with this course. It's going to tell you different trending topics, different types of card decks that are already selling, and things like that. So that can give you a starting point if you're not sure where to go or how to get started. And with this information, we can then move forward and run our prompts. And the prompts that I put together, it's either going to be seamless behind the scenes with the included bot, which will run it for you and build out your deck specs for you, or you can take them and do them manually. Now, this is a two-part prompt. So the first part will give you the overall style and feel of the deck, and it will also give you all of the card names with some brief meanings. And then once you've approved that, or if you want to make changes, then it will go back again and create all of the detailed prompts you will need to create your actual images. So this is very complete, and it's really everything you need to move forward to create your deck. So let's go ahead now and take a look at how to do this with the bot. So when you're putting together your information and you're getting your output from your prompts, I suggest you open up some sort of blank document so you can keep everything organized, because you'll need to be going back to those and using those and reviewing the output to build out your images, to put together the information about your deck, and so forth. So for the purposes of our demonstration, we're going to be creating a card deck on celebrating the 4 seasons and practical ways to implement them into our daily life. So it's sort of a cross between an appreciation deck and also like a habit type deck. And I'm going to be doing 36 cards, and that's really the minimum that you really want for decks in terms of what people are looking for with the number of cards. Of course, you can do more, you could do fewer, but this seems to be a good starting point if you're working with a smaller deck. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and go over here to our bot, Card Deck Creator. And you can see here it's hosted on a page as well, which you will have access to. Most likely it will be password protected, and then you can log on. And you can see here it says, welcome to the Card Deck Creator Helper. What type of deck, what is the topic, and how many cards do you want? So going back to our earlier information, those were the types of questions we needed to have answered to get started. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy what I have here. And let's go ahead and put this in. And it's putting together the information here. Let's create a beautiful deck. So now it's going to be giving me an overview and a general art style prompt. Now that's definitely something you want to review, because if you don't like the direction it's going in terms of the style, then that's probably something that you'll want to have it change or have it revise. So here it did not give me all of the descriptions. I would go back in and ask it now to give me the descriptions. So let's go ahead here and take a look. Overview of the deck, general style, they're going with whimsical and vibrant, and the color palette will match the actual season, which I like. And then we have the cards. I would just say here, before we do the art prompts, please provide a meaning and description for cards 11 through 36. Oh, it did 11, 13 through 36. So this part I think is important, because this is the part where you can pull those out. I'll show you here in a moment, but it includes keywords. So those are the types of keywords you can put directly on your cards. In addition, if you do want to consider building out a guide or booklet to go with your card deck, this is the type of information that you'll be including. Okay, so come back here, because we can come here even from the beginning. So you can see these have our keywords, and you just sort of want to go through and make sure it makes sense. You may want to spend more time on this, because I'm just going through this very quickly, but you want to make sure your deck is, as it says here, thoughtful and cohesive. And so you might want to actually dig a little bit deeper or make changes. It's up to you. I mean, this will put this together very fast, so you can go as deep as you'd like or just go with what it already has. And now it's going to go through here and do our art prompts. Okay, so now it's created more detailed art prompts for each card, and you can use this in conjunction as well with the overall prompt that we had up here if you wanted to. So what you could do is you could take, and I'll show you that more when you're building out the images, you could take this like whimsical and vibrant, include symbolic elements to represent the essence of each season. So you could keep that and use that for every single one of your prompts. And then when you come down here, you'll see your specific prompts. Now you'll see that these are not really designed for one specific type of generator, like they're not written for Midjourney or something like that. If you want to do that, you can ask it to do that, but in most cases you can just go into your generator and actually use whatever types of selections you want to there. And also, depending on how many cards you have, you may need to ask it to continue. So let's go ahead through here, and then what I want to do before we move forward is I just want to go through here and copy everything. And you can even copy and paste, but let's go ahead here and just sort of put everything in here, just so we have it. Where am I at? This next one. So now we have these here, and again, we might want to make additional changes or go through, but if not, then you're ready to go and start working with your actual image. Hopefully you can see how fast and easy that is. It literally took me just a few minutes to put together detailed deck information and our art prompts. Now, I do want to show you briefly, you can also bring over these prompts here to something like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude AI. So what I would do here is I would go ahead over here, put that in, and then I would want my information here. But this allows you more flexibility if you already have a tool you like, or if you run out of using the bot, which resets with uses each month, you can use something like this. So this tells us it's a Seasons of Life deck and gives us a little bit of information. And what I do like about this is it seems to organize it a little bit more by season, whereas the other one that we had was a little more vague with just incorporating the seasons. So again, depending on what tool you're using, you might get different outcomes. So then we have this. We have a little bit of information about each card and the overall style. And then I would come here and I would say generate detailed prompts. And because you're working off of the same thread, you probably don't have to copy and paste some of that information. So you could just say so for each of the cards in the deck. And you probably don't need to put that in there because it just put its art style prompt above. So with this, it's very not giving me a lot of like specific style for each card. So I would definitely want to put that in with the overall prompt when I would be going over to the generator. But at least it gives us some information here. Image of a person picking apples. Image of a person sitting by a window, cozy fireplace. So you could go through again and look at these. So for example, maybe you don't want to have people. Maybe you could say replace people with kittens or something in the card images. You know, if you want to have something that's not with any people in it. Or you could say replace with different animals that would be doing something at that time of year, like a rabbit or an owl or something like that. So you have a lot of flexibility because you can always ask it to go back and revise. But anyways, then you would take this and copy it. So after you've done this, you're now ready to actually, and you've made your adjustments. Now, of course, you're ready to go over to the generators and start creating your images.